Well, joining us now to weigh in to give his perspective on the developments as they are playing out across the country. Mr. Fred Nzeakor is a legal practitioner. Thank you for joining us. Well, what a 24 hours is been a shocking development, uncertainty in different parts of the country concerning what is happening. People don't know where to turn, what next to expect. From your perspective, from what you have seen, what is going through your mind right now?
Chamberlain, what is going through my mind is agony. Agony and pain, emotional, psychological torture. That is what I am going through. Seeing my country go up in flames for causes that are clearly avoidable, for issues that are clearly legitimate, that should have been handled legitimately, for failure of governance, for failure of leadership, for things we have been talking about for obtained time, for issues that we have been asking that government and those in authority should look into, which they have failed to look into, for gross abuse of rights of Nigerians, for impunity and exacerbation of lawlessness. These are what are going on in my mind. And the colossal damage that has occasioned this poor leadership and poor crisis management that has attended to this issue. If you look at all the damages around Lagos and around the country, they run into trillions of naira. In a country where we are suffering lack of funds, in a country where we junket around borrowing money to develop our infrastructure, and we have allowed the existing ones to be damaged due to ego, due to grandstanding, and due to refusal of those in authority to listen to the yearnings and aspirations of the people. In a democratic setting, in an environment where the will of the people should be listened to and prevail. This is the result. So it breaks my heart to look at Nigeria in this era. It breaks my heart to see what is going on, the colossal damage, the loss of lives and properties of Nigerians and Nigeria. It is heartbreaking. That's the way I feel. That's the way I think. I feel so sad.
Looking through all of this and listening and seeing how they are unfolding, what kind of message and who do you think should be putting that message across at the moment to ensure that things don't get any worse?
Things are already very bad. Things are already very, very bad. For almost 2 weeks, people have been protesting, precisely for 12 days. People have been protesting peacefully. These are the youth that form over 60% of the population of Nigeria. These are the people that you know that have been given the short end of knife of this country, that have been given the bitter bashing of the realities in Nigeria. They have not seen and enjoyed the spirit of being a Nigerian. These are people who have not seen the goodness of being a Nigerian. And they are now asking the people who they have elected in leadership position to do what they have promised them during campaigns and at various fora. All they are asking for are things that have already been promised. And they're saying, walk your talk. Now they are freely saying that in all decorum, with all respect to the country, and the next thing is that they are attacked. I had warned government at different fora. At every point I had the opportunity to say so, that the worst thing government can do is to attack these protesters using the old order. Times have changed. When we say that the world is a global village, the world is now a global bedroom. It is no longer a village. It is global bedroom. And whatever that is happening at one point of this world is reverberating all around the world. And these are kids who know this. And what they are asking for is give us good life.
Okay,
Yes, government
just
is saying that the whole thing cannot come at once, but at least let us see you putting measures in place.
all right, just hang on with us. We need to bring in our correspondent, Olu Phillips, who has been covering the area in Lekki particularly. Hello, Olu. What is going on at the moment?
Chamberlain, good afternoon, everybody. Chamberlain, I can't begin to describe the situations around here. Apologies if my visuals are not very clear, if I'm not seeing in the proper place. You can tell the reasons why. The best I have seen of this is the coverages we've done about war-torn areas in the world, the Aleppos of this world, the Syria war and the Libya war, the shellings. It can only be reminiscence of that in terms of what we have seen here. The whole streets are right now deserted and quiet. Burnt tires all over the place. Shops and supermarkets, pharmacies, shops, banks, ATM machines being destroyed. And well, you ask if this were done by hoodlums. I don't speak for hoodlums, but I think you don't. There is no rule of engagement when it comes to how people express a pent-up anger. As you see in the pictures right now, we returned there today, and these guys have regrouped and said to themselves, "You know what? We have seen you slay our brothers, slay our sisters." I spoke to a particular lady whose brother was slain just next to him, next to her, and she's bitter. I saw her face the anti-riot police this morning and early afternoon, and said to them, "You had better just kill me because my brother has been gunned down." So these are people who have become a bit more brazen because they seem to have seen the worst. They showed me some places where their colleagues were trying to hide and run into, and those who were running away with bullet wounds and all of that. We saw blood stains all over, shells of bullet. And you begin to ask, who really again gave these orders? Who distributed these magazines and the guns? In the military, for instance, or in the police, the ordinance is that they cannot act without order. Who gave this order? Who gave them the vehicles they came with? They came in Hilux vehicles. White Hilux who instructed them to make those shootings yesterday. People are in the hospital. It's a bit dicey for us to visit some of those hospitals right now because we've been told how much we've been marked. A particular uniformed man pointed at me and told me I should be careful because he's watching me, and that whatever it is that we're doing, that it's us against them. And I'm beginning to wonder if we're more safer with the protesters than we can be with the security agencies. I don't want to say that there's a breakdown of law and order, but I think we didn't need to get to this point. We didn't need to get to this point. We obviously took the wrong steps as far as this is concerned, and the wrong direction, and far too late in time for reaction on the part of government. Chamberlain, this is what we have for now. If you have more questions, though.
All right, but at the moment, Olu, I mean, those questions still linger in terms of the directive that they have, because they appear to be conflicting. Initially, the IGP's message was that they needed to, that's the policeman, needed to ensure or protect those peaceful protesters and fish out the hoodlums who were taking advantage of the situation. But much later, there was an announcement about that massive deployment on the part of the IG in different parts of the country. So one wonders, are we getting any clear messaging, understanding the mindsets of the agencies out there? Because it appears as though, look, everyone out there might just be in danger.
Chamberlain, this is it. And I feel for the fieldsmen. The fieldsmen, I mean here, the security agencies, the fieldsmen. There seems to be a disconnect between the rank and file and the authorities of the security agencies. They don't seem to be in tandem in terms of decisions and all of that, and instructions and directives. For instance, you have seen videos and pictures of how some of the military men today have tried to conduct themselves around the protesters. Why didn't this happen yesterday? Did we send the best men? Did we send military men who understand the act of a situation like this? Or did we send people who should have been going to the war front, who only understand how to pull the trigger in the face of what looks like an aggressive situation? What happens to these guys were not armed. If you talk about the Lekki Toll Plaza, where I have been covering in the last 10 days, I don't know who would have come there with an assault weapon. As a matter of fact, these guys constituted themselves in such manner that they even raised a security team that stopped people several meters, like 500 meters away, with a barricade, fixing them, finding out if they had anything on them before they could come to the grounds. Now, they started doing this as early and as late as 4 days, 5 days ago. From their pockets, I've seen them raise money to hire security bouncers to make sure they don't get infiltrated. These were the same people who sat down on the floor and were waving the flag when fire was opened. And you begin to ask yourself, I said to myself, if I was a security operative who was sent there or went there on my own volition and saw the people I was coming against, will I still pull the trigger? Chamberlain, triggers were pulled yesterday. I can tell you that for sure. We survived it, and thank God we could survive it. But those that didn't survive it, it's unfortunate. But triggers were pulled, and I can tell you that authoritatively, that triggers were pulled yesterday. And all of this, we are going to fish out, or we're not going to fish out. These were the same statements that led us to where we are in terms of what the authorities usually say are the highest level in terms of what they would do when incidents like this happen. When people are gunned down in extrajudicial manner, what we hear is that it's like a statement that has been written. You hear, we will investigate it and we will leave no stone unturned until the perpetrators are brought to book. It is a simple sentence that they usually quote every time. Any PRO of the police in any of the divisions of the state, this is the same statement you hear when there's a judicial claim. So, Chamberlain, there has to be a synergy so that we can really find out, like you said, at what point did we have this disconnect and have this kind of massive shooting yesterday?
All right, we do thank you for your reporting, Olu Phillips, and as always, we'd like to tell you, just be careful out there.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Nzeakor, well, as it is now, there's just so much unfolding at the moment, and, the way it is, well, we don't know how long all of this will play out for, but I did ask initially, and perhaps still continuing that light, in terms of who needs to be doing at this time to ensure that, because the economy took a hit during COVID and we're grappling with all of those, and then this situation doesn't make it any better. What should who be doing now?
It doesn't. Absolutely, it doesn't make it any better. Don't forget that even before the COVID pandemic, we had our own peculiar challenge of recession. As we were just gradually climbing out of recession, the COVID clamped down on the economy. And for the past 6 months, it has not been easy for Nigerians. And now this one has come, which is an internal insurrection, a civil disorder in the country caused by those in authorities. I say this with due sense of responsibility, that it was caused by those in authority, because a situation where there are footages of hired thugs going to break the ranks of protesters. Normally in civil protests in a democracy, the protesters are given police protection. They are secured while they protest. You allow them to ventilate their anger and then make their demands. It is the duty of a responsible and responsive government to accede to their demand and meet them midway and explain things out to them. Instead of suppressing the protests, I had advised that government should roll out programs and policies that will solve the challenges of Nigeria, that will lead to reform.
All
Because
right, then.
everything that the protesters are asking for are things that the government had already promised. And going forward, Chamberlain, we expect that government should, it is not too late in time to begin to make amends. Even though, like Kolu said, it is far too late, but it can never be later than never. So government should begin to roll out plans
All right.
to reform the system and not
Okay.
just mere mouthing it, so that
All right, Mr.
we'll have an
Nzeakor.
end to this imbroglio.
We appreciate your perspectives and your talking to us today. Thank you very much indeed. Well, a lot is being expected of Abuja in terms of what to do, where, who is giving what order, how should they proceed. Well, to give a sense of what is playing out in Abuja, we've got our correspondent Seun Okinbaloye right there. Seun, hello, and what is going on? What did you see in Abuja at the moment?
Thank you, Chamberlain. What a day in Nigeria's history, the kind of things that have happened in Lagos. But in Abuja, the nation's capital seems a bit calmer than what you're experiencing in Lagos. The two cities have, in the past few weeks, have experienced on a daily basis the protests by the NSAS protesters. They've demonstrated on the street on a daily basis, making their grievances known. And as soon as we saw that those elements that came to disrupt the process, things began to take another turn. But what we've, being in Abuja since yesterday, it gives a sense of a different undertone of what happened, because we understand how that was doused, the protest was doused in Abuja. Perhaps if a similar situation had occurred in Lagos, perhaps we wouldn't have been seeing this kind of situation happening on our hands. The worst, I pray, has happened, and is a sad scenario, sad moment in history, what has happened. And so those injured and those who perhaps have lost their lives, it's a sad scenario that are playing out on the local scene to those families that have lost loved ones. Not a good one. But Chamberlain, what is important for us as citizens first and foremost, as journalists secondly, is the fact that we need our nation back. We need our people back. We need our sisters back. We need our brothers back. We need our uncles and our fathers back together. We need to put ourselves together. How then can this happen? We need those soothing words that will put everybody together. No doubt the nation is in crisis. No doubt things have gone apart. No doubt we probably had not envisaged how young blood in Nigeria took to the street, passionately asking what would become, what would give Nigeria a good name, good perception in the world, and in fact locally. But unfortunately, things have turned out this way. Chamberlain, I think what we need to see is how we can get our nation back. The world was hit by coronavirus. Now we're being hit by what has become a self-made disaster. Right. What we could actually have averted. But
we're going to be getting a lot more.
Is looking forward. How can we repair the loss, and how can we repair what has become a disaster on our hands, Chamberlain?
Very important parts of the entire thing, and perhaps there'll be a lot of expectations on the part of the authorities who should be doing well. But we do thank you, and we will be getting a lot more from Abuja. So thank you very much indeed, Sean, for your reporting today. But just to also bring you up to speed, we do understand by our correspondent in Imo State saying that a police station in Worubi in Mbitoli local government area of Imo State has been raised. It says the police public relations officer, Orlando Ikeoku, told Channels Television that hoodlums attacked the police station at about noon today. He says the command has drafted police officers in the area to ensure that there isn't any further degeneration of law and order. Well, we do hope that all will be sorted, and wherever you are, we hope you keep it. And we also like to thank everyone who reached out to us here at Channels at this point in time. We sincerely appreciate everyone. We thank you all for watching as well. We'll bring you more updates as we progress here on the hour at Channels. I'm Chamberlain. So have a good day.